So welcome you all in this platform of KSG, and we are continuing our this famous series Prelims Connect, and for you 2023 Prelims. So let's start today's in fact theme and previous year question paper. Last 2 days we were discussing this banking in India. We will continue that same theme today's also. So let's see few questions. The first question of today's discussion. The basic aim of the lead bank scheme is that this question was asked in 2012, and yesterday also I had already discussed one question related to service area approach, and this is the same topic which has been asked again another year. So that's why it's my job to show you that this question has been repeated by UPSC. So basic aim of the lead bank scheme is that A, B, C, D. If you want, you can answer. I have access to your chat box so that I can read your answer. Big banks should try to open offices in each district. This is the first option. Second, there should be stiff competition among the various nationalized banks. Individual banks should adopt particular districts, and all the banks should make intensive efforts to mobilize deposits. Yesterday, I have already explained what is the meaning of service area approach. Commercial banks and regional rural banks, every bank branch would be given few districts, and the responsibility of these bank branches to have or to make an overall development of that particular area, that particular districts. So that is what we call service area approach. This is the same that individual banks, that means commercial bank and a regional rural bank and branches of those banks should adopt particular districts for intensive development. That is Dheeraj Jain, C is the answer. This is the correct one. So overall development, or what you call this development of that particular area. That's why the service area approach, which is followed by this lead bank scheme and all. Okay. Now coming to the next. The question is about the payment bank, and in 2014 and 15, if you see the trend in our Indian economy, the government was more concerned about this financial inclusion. If you see in banking in India, and particularly if I divide the sub-theme also, I will come to that. So this payment bank is a question which has been asked. The establishment of payment bank is being allowed in India to promote financial inclusion. That means it's a new type of bank which has been set up by the government. So I was talking about 2015 or 14-15 onwards, government started emphasizing on the financial inclusion. If you see the what we call this trend or the initiatives that has been taken by the government for this financial inclusion, then you will find that Nachiken More committee was formed to examine the banking system in India, and specifically this committee recommended few niche banks for the financial inclusion or to promote financial inclusion. Now the key concept is what exactly this financial inclusion means. The very basic and simple meaning or definition of this financial inclusion is that every individual should come under the banking network. Every individual should come under the banking network, or every individual should have a bank account. So that what we call this financial inclusion. And for this, to achieve this financial inclusion, a lot of initiatives have been taken, and one such initiative is payment bank. I think you must have seen this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, that every individual must have a bank account. That is what we have started, or government started. So payment bank, that means what about, or what are those features this payment bank had? Mobile telephone companies and the supermarket chains that are owned and controlled by residents are eligible to be promoters of payment banks. If you know the answer, please answer it on the chat box. Second statement is payment banks can issue both credit cards and debit cards. Payment banks cannot undertake lending activities. If you see this 2 and 3 statement, that's something contradictory in nature. If you want to know the answer, answer is 1 and 3, that is B is the answer. Okay, so this is the payment bank question. It was there in news, that's why this has been asked by UPSC, that payment banks cannot involve in the lending activities. That means payment banks cannot issue credit cards. That you have to understand. Let me show you interesting one. Yes, like payment bank, another bank we or the government started, and that was the small finance banks. And again they have asked this question. Now, what is the purpose of setting of the small finance banks? First statement, to supply credit to small business units, to supply credit to small and marginal farmers, to encourage young entrepreneurs to set up business, particularly in rural areas. If you see the nature or the objective of the small finance bank, that means to supply credit to small business units. Second, to supply credit to small and marginal farmers. So answer obviously 1 and 2, that is A only. But why they have asked this question? I have already told you that financial inclusion is what government started different steps to bring this financial inclusion in our country or in effect. So that's why they launched payment banks and they asked in question. They launched a small finance bank and they asked in question. So neo bank is a kind of new initiative that government has brought. So there could be a possibility this year they are going to ask this neo bank. So this objective, or what we call the sub theme of today's discussion, that is banking in India, and in that sub theme we can say the financial inclusion. I will come to that financial inclusion little later, but this is the new initiative that has been started. Then let's see what is this neo bank. A neo bank is a digital bank that does not have any branches. You just highlight this portion, does not have any branches. That means they do not have physical existence, physical branches like conventional bank. Conventional banks like let's say your all nationalized bank or commercial banks, like conventional banks, they do not have physical branches or brick and mortar structure which those traditional banks have. So it is something what, instead of having a physical presence at a state location, neo banking is entirely online. See, the traditional banking structure has also online format, digital mode. You can have you can access your bank account through online or internet banking, what we call, and this also you can do, but this is purely operating on online mode. And conventional branches, they are operating both physical presence as well as the online mode. So from here you can conclude one thing: what is the requirement of such banking system? Those people, those who are more techno savvy and they are more acquainted with the technology and they have this access of technology and all, they can access these banks very comfortably. Second thing, these banks would offer you different products at a very less cost, because they do not have to pay that operational cost that those traditional banks do have. So let me repeat, these banks or these new type of banks, neo banks, they would offer products at a very less cost, which was absent in case of traditional bank, because they had to bear this operational cost, because they have this physical presence or physical existence. So this is what the benefit of this neo bank. Basically, neo bank is a fintech firm that provides digital and mobile first service like payments, debit cards, money transfers, lending and more. In India, neo banks do not have a bank license of their own. Instead, they count on bank partners that are regulated to provide bank licensed services. The third statement, you have to be a bit careful, because this could be a statement in your question paper, that when this payment bank started, when this small finance bank started, you must have seen that new people, new organizations, new institutions, those who had involved in this lending activities, they applied to the Reserve Bank of India and got the license, and they started functioning as a small finance bank or a payment bank. But in this particular neobank system, they do not have to take any license as such. They do not have to, they cannot apply individually or what we call this institutions to get the license from the RBI, and then they can operate as a neobank. Rather, they have to extend support to those existed what we call this conventional banking system. Okay, they instead they count on bank partners. That means they had to operate with the or as a partner of those conventional banks, those who had already existed in our banking structure or system. That's it. Okay, so neobank is something crucial for this year's prelims. Now, next. What is the facility? Facilities the beneficiaries can get from the services of business correspondent bank Sathi in branchless areas. I have already told you, today we are talking about the financial inclusion under this banking in India. So another part of this financial inclusion is bank Sathi. Why this bank Sathi has been introduced by the government? Because those people, they cannot access to their banks or in few areas where those banking facilities have not yet reached. There this banking Sathis are there to help those people with respect to banking transaction and all. Suppose statement 1, it enables the beneficiaries to draw their subsidies and social security benefits in their village. Suppose those people they are getting old age pension, let's say, any kind of scholarship facilities by the school or college children, they can get or they can access this service through this bank Sathi or business correspondent. It enables the beneficiaries in the rural areas to make deposits and withdrawals. Suppose you want to withdraw money by using a debit card. So that person would carry this POS machine, and through that person would help you out in terms of withdrawal of money. And if you want to save also, then that person would definitely help you out. So answer is obviously C, both 1 and 2. So this is the theme of financial inclusion. That's why it was launched by the government. Again, coming to this, the next question. With reference to India, consider the following. Nationalization of banks, formation of regional rural banks, adoption of villages by bank branches, which are above considered as the steps to achieve the financial inclusion in India. Again, this is something related to financial inclusion. That's why I have clubbed all those questions under financial inclusion, because this is a key area from where you can expect question. So under the banking in India, financial inclusion is a part which you must cover for your prelims point of view. So nationalization of banks, if you see in 1969, for the first time when India entered into this phase of nationalization under the Indira Gandhi time or prime ministership, the objective was areas where these banks are not operating, or areas which were deprived from this banking system, this government banks should operate or should enter into that area and all. So simply we can say financial inclusion was one of the objective. The second objective was easy credit facilities to those farmers, or let's say economically weaker sections of the society, to students. So this was the objective why we have started this nationalization of banks. Second, formation of regional rural banks. If you go into the detail of regional rural banks, you would find that the purpose of this regional rural bank to what you call to develop those regional areas where banking system or normal banking systems are not there. These people are not they are simply out of from this easy credit facilities from the normal commercial banks. Farmers are not getting enough loan. So this is the objective why we started this regional rural bank. Adoption of villages by bank branches. I have already told you, under this service area approach or lead bank scheme, the objective is again obviously this financial inclusion and all, and answer is obviously 1, 2 and 3. Okay. So let's see very briefly what exactly the meaning of this financial inclusion. Financial inclusion, I have already told you that simply every individual must come under the banking network. A scheme is there that has been launched by government during the COVID period, May 2020. So let's see what exactly that scheme was all about. Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme. The Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme was launched in May 2020 as part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Let me tell you, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, we have already, if you have already read it, to make India self-reliance. That was the purpose of Atmanirbhar Bharat, to support eligible micro, small and medium enterprises. I think you know that MSME is that sector to which India wants, or the government gives more emphasis because of its contribution in terms of GDP, contribution in terms of employment opportunity, contribution in terms of export sector as well. That's why we're so much giving emphasis on this MSME, and that's why government is also doing the same thing. Now, under this particular scheme, 100% guarantee is provided to member lending institutions against any losses suffered by them due to non-repayment of ECLGS funding extended by them to eligible borrowers. Suppose any individual, any investor, those who had borrowed money from the bank, they would not be able to repay it back. Obviously, the fund would help those banking institutions to recover those loans and all. So this is still has been extended till this year's March 2023. So this could be a question. You can expect a question on this. So under the financial inclusion, we have discussed today. Okay. Let's see the next question. The term core banking solution. Core banking solution, I think you know the answer. Let me tell you what exactly this core banking solution. Suppose your bank account in a different city and you are staying in a different city. So in that particular city where you stay, you can access to your what we call the bank account through a particular bank branch. Okay, so it's not necessary that you must access your branch through your home branch and all. So this is what we call this core banking solution. That means the connection of networks of banks, so that from a different place you can access to your bank account from a different branch. So the term core banking solution is sometimes in news. Which of the following statements best describe this term? It is a networking of a bank's branches which enables customers to operate their accounts from any branch. That is the key, any branch of the bank on its network, regardless of where they open their accounts. That means not necessarily you can access your bank account from your home branch as well. Okay, this is not mandatory. That's why we introduced this core banking solution in the banking network. Let's say second statement, it is an effort to increase RBI's control over commercial banks through computerization. It is a detailed procedure by which a bank with huge non-performing assets is taken over by another bank. So neither 2 nor 3 are correct. Only the statement 1 is the correct. What is the exact objective or theme of this particular question? So let me summarize today's discussion. I have picked financial inclusion for today's discussion, and here we have seen the different types of banks that in the government of India has introduced in the monetary system or in the economy to make this financial inclusion smooth enough. So we have a possibility, or we can expect a question this year on the neo bank. So please be careful and please read this neo bank, although the basics I have already discussed with you. Okay, so these are something what we can expect this year. So tomorrow also will come a new self theme, although its banking will continue for tomorrow as well, because our objective to sensitize you more as far as prelims point of view, what exactly topics are needed to cover for this prelims and what you need to do for your prelims as well, because prelims is very much closer, and you people should be serious enough to crack this year too, and you'd be able to write your mains. So thank you all the best, and tomorrow we'll meet at the same time. Thank you.